ever wondered what the most common web application security risks are? As we venture deeper into the digital age, it's crucial to understand these risks, particularly if you're navigating the ever-evolving field of cybersecurity. By grasping the intricacies of web application vulnerabilities, you're arming yourself with the knowledge to fortify these applications against potential attacks. It's like being a digital superhero, protecting the virtual city of applications from the villains of cyber threats. Intrigued? Let's delve into the OWASP Top 10 Web Application Security Risks. OWASP, or the Open Web Application Security Project, is a non-profit organization that's dedicated to improving the security of software. Their mission is to make software security visible, enabling individuals and organizations to make informed decisions about true software security risks. One of the most significant contributions of OWASP to the world of cybersecurity is the OWASP Top 10. This is a standard awareness document aimed at developers and web application security. It's not just a list, but a powerful awareness tool for web application security that represents a broad consensus about the most critical security risks to web applications. Understanding and implementing the guidance in the OWASP Top 10 is a fundamental step towards changing the software development culture within your organization into one that produces secure code right from the start. Now, let's explore these risks one by one. The first three risks on the OWASP list are injection, broken authentication, and sensitive data exposure. The injection risk refers to when an attacker can inject hostile data into a program, tricking it into executing unintended commands. This can be prevented by using a parameterized API, which ensures data is treated strictly as input and not executable code. Next is broken authentication. This occurs when application functions related to authentication and session management are not implemented correctly, allowing attackers to compromise passwords, keys, or session tokens. Two-factor authentication and limiting login attempts can help mitigate this risk. Finally, sensitive data exposure happens when an application doesn't adequately protect sensitive information like financial details or personal data. Encryption of data at rest and in transit, along with minimizing the data you hold, can help protect against such exposure. Understanding these risks is the first step to strengthening web application security. Moving on, the next three risks are XML external entities, XXE, broken access control, and security misconfigurations. Let's start with XML external entities, or XXE. This risk arises when an application processes XML input that contains a reference to an external entity. This can be exploited by attackers to disclose internal files, provoke denial of service, or even perform remote code execution. To mitigate this risk, it's best to disable the use of external entities in XML parsers. Next, we have broken access control. This risk allows attackers to bypass authorization and perform tasks as if they were a privileged user. To counteract this, it's vital to implement proper access control mechanisms and regularly test them for any weaknesses. Lastly, we have security misconfigurations. These are often the result of insecure default configurations, incomplete or ad hoc configurations, or open cloud storage. Regularly updating and patching systems can help mitigate this risk. These risks, though different, all pose significant threats to web application security. The final four risks on the OWASP list are cross-site scripting, XSS, insecure deserialization, using components with known vulnerabilities, and insufficient logging and monitoring. Cross-site scripting allows hackers to inject malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users, which can lead to stolen data or defaced web pages. Protecting your site from XSS requires validating, escaping, and sanitizing user input. Insecure deserialization can lead to remote code execution or even replay attacks. To mitigate this, avoid serialization of sensitive data and use digital signatures to verify data authenticity. The risk of using components with known vulnerabilities is self-explanatory. Always keep your software up to date and make use of security tools to detect vulnerable components. Lastly, insufficient logging and monitoring can delay the detection of security breaches, giving hackers more time to cause damage. Implement effective logging and incident response plans to tackle this issue. While these are the last on the list, they are not the least in terms of the security threats they pose. Now that we've gone through all the risks, let's quickly recap. We began our journey into the OWASP Top 10 Web Application Security Risks with injection, where untrusted data is sent as part of a command or query. We explored how it can lead to data loss, corruption, or even reveal unauthorized data. Next, we discussed broken authentication, where application functions related to authentication and session management are often not implemented correctly, allowing attackers to compromise passwords, keys, or session tokens. Then we covered sensitive data exposure, which happens when an application doesn't adequately protect sensitive information, making it susceptible to attackers who are looking to steal or modify such weakly protected data for their gains. We also unfolded XML external entities, XXE, where older or poorly configured XML processors evaluate external entity references within XML documents. These can be used to disclose internal files using the file URI handler, internal file shares, internal port scanning, remote code execution, and denial of service attacks. We talked about broken access control, where restrictions on what authenticated users are allowed to do are not properly enforced. Attackers can exploit these flaws to access unauthorized functionality and data. We dove into security misconfigurations, which is the most commonly seen issue. This happens when an application has insecure default configurations, incomplete or ad hoc configurations, open cloud storage, misconfigured HTTP headers, and verbose error messages containing sensitive information. Lastly, we discussed cross-site scripting, XS, insecure deserialization using components with known vulnerabilities, and insufficient logging and monitoring. Remember, knowledge of these risks is the first line of defense in web application security. We've covered a lot of ground in this video, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. The world of web application security is vast and ever-evolving, with new threats emerging and old ones rearing their heads in novel ways. It's a field that requires constant vigilance, continuous learning, and an unending curiosity. The OWASP Top 10 is a great starting point, but it's only one tool in the expansive arsenal of a savvy pentester. It's essential to delve deeper, to explore beyond the boundaries of these common vulnerabilities. We encourage you to seek out more resources, to engage with the cybersecurity community, and to stay informed about the latest developments in this crucial field. Remember, knowledge is power, and in the realm of cybersecurity, it's your most potent weapon against potential threats. So keep sharpening your skills, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of your understanding. Keep learning, stay curious, and always prioritize security in your web applications.